Good evening. My name is Boas Ha. I live in Kiryat Arba, near Hebron. For the last 53 years, my father, his name was Eliakim. He and Rabbi Moshe Levinger started the Jewish community in Hebron after 1967. And from this group who joined them, all the settlement movement, the ideological settlement movement in Judea and Samaria started. And the headline, you can see, even in Norwegian, how Judea and Samaria critical to the very existence of Israel. And this, I don't going to speak about ideology, Bible, or spiritual, sentimental issues, although this is the most important because this is the source of the energy, who create everything, who made the Jewish people to stick to his belief and to remember the land and to aspire to return to the land for 2,000 years. And now it happened. So it's a great thing, but this is not our subject this evening. I'm talking about practical things, international law, security, etc. So, okay, back to the eve of World War I. This is how the Middle East was looking like. The land of Israel under Ottoman Empire. And then happened World War I, and after the war, some changes took place. One, the Turks were out. Two, for the first time, a worldwide organization was established, the League of Nations. Three, this organization has to decide what to do with these areas of... Can you please stand here? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so this organization had his first mission to decide what to do with the areas, the huge areas of the empires who were vanished because of the war. And the principle was nation states instead of empires. In the Middle East, it was so primitive that they couldn't give the people who lived there to manage anything. So the way was to create mandates, trusteeships to Britain and France to develop the area and prepare it to the future countries. One of the mandates was given to the British, mandate to establish the Jewish national home. And this mandate was given in July 1922 by the League of Nations. And I bring only one sentence from this whole mandate, which is a key sentence, quite revolutionary. You can read it. Whereas recognition has thereby been given to the historical connection of the Jewish people with Palestine and to the grounds for reconstituting their national home in that country. The world gave the Jewish people, which was a minority in this land then, 80,000 Jews compared to 400,000 Arabs. So the minority got the ownership, the political rights. Why? Because of the historical connection. And what is reconstituting? When last time there was an Israeli Jewish constitution in this land, 2,000 years, almost 2,000 years back. So in one word, reconstitute, the world cut almost 2,000 years from history and attached the end of the Second Temple period to the beginning of the 20th century. Quite big deal. And what is the Palestine doing here? Did they do all this for Yasser Arafat or Mahmoud Abbas? So what is the Jewish national home in Palestine? That days, the name Palestine was connected to the Jewish people. In the beginning of the 20th century, the Arabs said, no, this is not Palestine. This is southern Syria. Because Palestine was known as the Jewish land, because Emperor Adrian gave this name to this land. He changed from Provincia Judea to Provincia Palestina in order to take the land from the Jews, not only to massacre and to take the Jews out of the land. And by changing the identity, you change the ownership. And when one day my father, there was some issue in Hebron, and a German correspondent asked him, "What are you doing here?" He answered, "You sent me." How come? He said, "When I was a kid in Kiel, in the 30s of the 20th century, all the walls were covered with graffiti, Jude nach Palästina. Jew, go to Palestine. So I obeyed." Okay, so this Palestine, they meant the land of the Jews, and they gave a map. Where is that Palestine? Here is Palestine, the Jewish national home, the original map given in July 1922. What do we need more? Everything is okay. But then the troubles began because the British promised Syria twice, once to the French, second to Faisal, the brother of Abdullah, the Hashemite family. And the League of Nations gave Syria to the French as a mandate. So they promised before Syria to Faisal and Iraq to Abdullah. So they gave Iraq to Faisal. Now Abdullah was left without country. What could they do? To refer to Article 25 in the mandate charter, which gives them the opportunity to delay giving the eastern side to the Jews, and gave it to Abdullah, and they made the Emirate of Transjordan. And okay, now Jews were left with 23% of the area, less than a quarter. And the mandate actually started only on the western side, from the river to the sea. Here is from the river to the sea. And now a new game starts. This is the whole area. Let's start to divide this one. Okay, we are in the middle of this game. Okay, now we are jumping not so many years later, 1947, but in this short period, the world was turned over because the World War II erupted and ended. The League of Nations was dismantled because it failed preventing such a war. And now there is a new organization, UN. Does the UN committed to this mandate and all the beautiful words, reconstituting and historical rights? The answer is yes, big yes, because Chapter 80 to the UN Charter makes continuity, and the UN committed to the mandates of the League of Nations, not less than the League of Nations, which means it's stronger than any decision of the UN. It's right in the definition of this organization. But after saying all this, this what the UN suggested, in November 47. What do we have here? In white, Jewish state, funny borders. In these funny borders, 47% of the population are Arabs. If you think where we started in all this area there beyond the Jordan, this what was left. Jerusalem, international. And in brown, what state? Arab or Palestinian? Of course, Arab. The Palestinians were not invented yet at this stage. And the leadership, the Arab leadership in this country was called then the Supreme Arab Committee, not Palestinian. And okay, what the Jews said, Ben-Gurion, to this map? Yes or no? Of course, he said, yes, and hurry up, I want it. Because if you are living with only a dream for 2,000 years and you're being suggested for something, first of all you take. And his ideology was, whatever we will be offered, we will take. And I'm sure, he said, that later we are going to have the strongest army in the Middle East, and we will complete the rest later. Actually, that's what happened. What the Arabs said, not only no, but started a war, which is our independence war. This decision was taken in the General Assembly. The General Assembly decisions is only recommendations. In the Security Council, it's committing, but this was in the General Assembly. So they recommended, one side said no, so this decision, this vote led to nothing. It was not born. So what I want to say is that after the Arab refusal, we are still in the last stop in the international law. On September 1922, the western side of the Jordan belongs to the Jewish national home. I'm going to prove that it's valid until now. You have what to wait for. Okay. Now, at the end of the war, 49 actually, these were the lines. The name of these lines were armistice lines, which mean the most natural name that you can give to a border which is totally temporary. And in the agreements, it's explicitly mentioned that these are not going to be the borders for the future. So after these lines were drawn, we are still in September 22 with the western side. And we see that Judea and Samaria are not in Israel after the 48 war. Who is sitting here? Jordan. Who gave it to Jordan? They took it, they occupied it. And they occupied it and annexed it after the war. Nobody in the world except Britain and Pakistan recognized this illegal annexation. And now, when they hold Judea and Samaria, they cannot keep using these names, because it's like you stole the bag from me, and my name is written there, you have to change it. So what was the new name? The West Bank. So the name West Bank was meant to wipe out the Jewish identity of these regions. And it's work until today. Okay, and so we are talking about the Jordanian occupation. And in 1967, the Six-Day War. At the end of this war, Israel is with the Golan Heights, Judea and Samaria, and all Sinai. So what happened to the occupation of Judea and Samaria in 1967? it was ended. It was the end of the occupation of Judea and Samaria. The opposite of what you hear all over, from the Secretary of the United Nations down to the last leftists. But it's the opposite. If you check the facts, this is it. Now, after 1967, the UN had to decide what to do with the new situation, and we have now Resolution 242, now in the Security Council, which is committing, but the words, the text, does not commit, because here is the text, the idea, withdrawal from territories, not de-territories, because if you say de-territories, you draw the former map. But if you say territories, and you don't say what territories, you said nothing. You only appointed a mechanism. And so territories and the outcome will be recognize and secure boundaries, because we said that these armistice lines were not recognized. They said, now, after you, the both sides, or all the sides, decide what will be the new boundaries, after you decide, for this time, it will be recognized, contrary to the former. Okay, so after 242, still, the last stop in the international law is September 22. What Israel did, Israel was embarrassed what to do with it. And they invented a new term, administrated territories. And until this very moment, the status of Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, these are the last areas all over the world, except Antarctica, that has no sovereignty. Disputed area. Israel did decide about one part, which is Jerusalem. Immediately annexed the eastern side of Jerusalem, and this is not disputed anymore. Okay, now we have in the middle your involvement, Oslo Accords, and Israel made agreement with the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, liberation from us, okay? And it's an organization who his goal is to wipe Israel out of the map. And they were hoping that there will be peace. Each side will be satisfied at least having a part of the area, not fulfill all the dreams, and Nobel Prizes. Nobel Prizes they get. The peace they didn't. And this terror organization eventually did what he likes and knows, which is terror. But in the beginning, it was a big euphoria. And this Oslo Accords were stuck in the middle after this organization, which turned into the Palestinian Authority, made terror, mainly in the year of 2000, Second Intifada, and this stopped the whole process. And it stopped it in a stage that the Arabs have autonomy, but not sovereignty. We see here the ABC game. They have no sovereignty, they have full autonomy. This shape of spots was drawn according to the population. The meaning was to include as many as possible under the control of the Palestinian Authority. And actually, it includes 95% of the Arabs. Actually, all the Arabs have their IDs and getting services, and which means they have autonomy, no sovereignty, but in the daily life, they don't meet any Israeli official. They do meet in two situation. One, if they want to cross the Jordan River outside, so they must cross our checkpoints. Two, if they are dealing with terror, then they meet our people in some point. And here are the proportion, A, 20%, B, 20%. The difference is that B is Israeli security responsibility, but 40% A and B is the Palestinian Authority civil responsibility. Okay, so Oslo Accords, because of the fact that they didn't proceed to the final agreement and stuck in the middle, created situations that until this very moment, the last stop in the international law about the borders is September 22, which is all the western side of the Jordan have to be part of the Jewish national home, which means that Judea, Samaria, and Gaza today is on Israel's hand. Israel only need to close the hand, but Israel didn't decide. What happened in the settlement movement, the governments never decided, but the citizens decided. And this movement came from beneath. And today, we will see the number. Okay, if somebody say that we are occupiers in Judea and Samaria, let us look for the element, the people, which we occupied from. Who is the occupant? Who was until 67? Jordan. But they were the real occupiers. And if this is not enough, in the year of 1988, they conceded any demand about Judea and Samaria, so this is not Jordan. Let's go back. Who was before until 1948? The British mandate that had to reconstitute the Jewish national home. The mandate is over, the British went home, so we are not in Britain. I am in my home, Kiryat Arba, not in Britain. If we go back, we have 400 years of Turkish control. The Turks are out. They conceded all the empire except Turkey itself in Lausanne treaties in 1923. And before it, we have a long list of ancient empires. Where are they? In the museums. And before it, there's the second temple, and that's why all this formulation of the historical rights and reconstituting all this. Okay. We have, as a result of these accords, a new creature, the Palestinian Authority. Let's see what it means. First of all, their schools and their media and everything is a terrorist factory. Schools calls after murder terrorists. They learn that have to release Tel Aviv and Haifa, all Israel. Mathematics they learned, there were 8 Israelis, you killed 4, how many left? It became so rude and extreme up to the point that even Europe started cutting budgets from the Palestinian Authority because of this incitement. And I'll bring one example, which is terrible. This lady, her name was Dalal Mughrabi. She was a commander of a terrorist group who landed from the sea, came from Lebanon. In 1978, the PLO was sitting still in Lebanon. They landed in the beach between Tel Aviv and Haifa. Right when they arrived, they met a nature photographer called Gail Rubin. They interrogated her, where are they? They didn't know where they landed. After getting the information, they shot in her head. Then they proceed to the main road, Tel Aviv-Haifa. took over 2 buses and a taxi, together 70 people. The hostages compressed them into one bus, start driving to Tel Aviv. On the way, they were shooting from the windows at the vehicles. And at the entrance of Tel Aviv, they were stopped by the police. There was a battle. The bus was burned, and it ended with 35 dead, and including 12 children, the biggest terror attack in Israel until October 23. She was killed during this battle, but 2 terrorists were survived, and they were tried. And during the trial, we have the testimonies. One of these testimonies said that when the bus started burning, she took a baby from his mother's hands and threw him to the fire. And this lady in the Palestinian Authority, in this moment, is a superstar. Schools called after her, streets, roundabouts, summer camps, everything. She's a superstar, the most praised person right after Yasser Arafat. So this what every pupil, Arab pupil in Judea and Samaria and Gaza get day and night since the kindergarten. And what outcome can come from this? When Hamas took over Gaza in 2007, they changed everything except one thing. They didn't touch the curriculum and the study books. So the murderers of October 7 were learned from Mahmoud Abbas' study books. The partner for peace, the good guy. So that means that the motivation between Gaza and Judea and Samaria is the same, only the abilities are different. Okay, after the good pupils become terrorists, they do something, and they are either dead or in jail. What the Palestinian Authority does with them, gives them big salaries. The heavy prisoners who just released during the deals now for the hostages, they left the prison millionaires because of these salaries. So this is an entity which inciting to terror and rewarding terror. This is the source of the terror. So what Israel does, Israel running after each mosquito and never drain the swamp. So they are the source of the terror. And Israel addicted to Oslo situation, Oslo Accords, and does not cut it. This is one of the problems. Okay, a lot of preventing cooperation in the issues which are totally disconnected from politics, anti-Israeli international activities. Each one of these is violating the agreements. That's the Palestinian Authority. Now, more information. If we look at the Judea and Samaria, only 7 to 8% is populated, which means built. 7 to 8%. Jews and Arabs together, compare to 20% in Israel from the desert of the Negev and north, which means Israel is 3 times dense. It has a lot of significance. That means that in Judea and Samaria there is enough space for everybody, Jews and Arabs, and this is the last area that Israel can develop in the center, near the center, and around Jerusalem. We'll see it later in the maps. 70% of the roads in Judea and Samaria are closed for Jews, maybe 1% closed for Arabs, and they like to cry about apartheid roads. Yes, maybe there is one or one and enough. So if it's apartheid, let's go. We are suffering from it, but this is not apartheid, it's security. These are closed to Jews in order to protect them from the Arab terror, and the minority, very small minority, closed for Arabs, again to protect the Jews from the Arab terror. And another issue, I don't know how you're familiar, the housing costs in Israel are crazy. Why? Because offer and demand. Offer is the size of the land. Demand is the increasing of the population. And when we stand here in a place called Duel, it's called the balcony of Israel, because it's in Samaria, but you see all the center beneath you, very close. We see this village, Arab village, Dir Balut. The 67 borders goes here, and this is already Israeli city, Rosh Ain, in the other side. And this is Tel Aviv, and this line is the sea line. And the history of the development, the Jewish development along the coastal plain is a small neighborhood near Jaffa, today it's Tel Aviv. Another two villages that today each one is 250,000. So it became very dense. And if we look at the area, all this is dense. Here, there is a vacuum. It's quite empty. So the only place Israel can develop in the center is here. And the same Jerusalem. All this area is the reserve area of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem and the center are the places who are wanted and by people, they want to come and live there. And this pull all the prices in Israel to so high. And if we take care of this, we can offer to this demand more areas, we can restrain this terrible prices. Okay, demography. I'll say it shortly. It's a big issue, but everybody knows that the Arabs have 20 children and Jews have 1.5. They are Western. It used to be so, but today it's turned over. Today the Jewish average in Israel is higher than the Arab average, and the Arabs keep diving because of modernity and education, like all the rest of the world. The Jews only in Israel react in the opposite because of cultural reasons, and with the standard of living and education, the birth rate goes up. So if you ask the Palestinian Authority how many Arabs are in Judea and Samaria, they say 3.25, but this is a problem because they are the only official body which supplies these numbers. And nobody can argue, even if you don't believe them. And they have good reason to inflate the numbers because they get budgets actually from you according to the numbers they give. So if the number is high, the money is big. And they wanted to inflate the debate within the Israeli society and to give the leftists nice numbers. But how can we check it? One guy is checking it, Yoram Ettinger. He was the deputy ambassador in the United States 20-something years ago. And since 2004, he followed indirectly the number, and he discovered that this number includes 400,000 Arabs, Eastern Jerusalem Arabs, who are also being counted as Israeli Arabs, so they have been doubled. a million who left and still exist in the registry, 200,000 who died and still alive in the Palestinian Authority, including very old people who were born in 1845, and 150 who got married with Israeli Arabs, moved into Israel and still being counted in the Palestinian Authority. So he claims maximum 1.5. But this is a big debate. What is obviously known that what are the trends. We meet the Arabs in 1967 with 9 children per woman on average. Today, it's 3 and keep diving. And when we arrived, there was no one single university in Judea, Samaria, Gaza, Eastern Jerusalem. And look how terrible the Israeli occupation is. Today they have something about 15 universities and together almost 40 high schools. And this system produces each year almost 40,000 young graduated people. What can they do with these skills in this corrupted, poor Palestinian Authority? Not so much, so they are leaving in high numbers. We're talking about average between 10 to 20,000, but in the last years, it's more than 20. They are living all over the world, including you, but not only, to the Gulf, to Turkey is very popular, South America, United States, Canada. So this what made the first assumption that they are going to be a majority, that's what made it wrong. The trends were changed. To the numbers of the Jewish numbers, Judea and Samaria, 550,000 residents living in 33 towns, villages, outposts, farms, you name it. East Jerusalem, another 250 Jews. Together, it's already 800,000. Big number compared to the short period since 67, and it was done actually against the whole world. This is the 3 kids per woman. Jews are up, Arabs down. And Mahmoud Abbas demands to bring in the Palestinian Authority 500,000 Arabs, who he calls them Palestinians. They are sitting in huge refugee camps in Jordan. The outcome, not the war of with the Jews, but the Arab Spring. You know what is the Arab Spring? A terrible citizen war all over the Arab countries. And he says, they are Palestinians, I want them in. Not right of return to Tel Aviv, here to Judea and Samaria. Okay, he doesn't have sovereignty. He doesn't decide who is coming. That's why it doesn't happening. So our presence in Judea and Samaria preventing this flood, one, and maintains the last spot in the land of Israel that we can develop. A political future, we made this agreement with this terror organization. They were hoping for peace, but it became a war. How can we get rid of this authority, which want to be a state, to be worse? We can enter tanks to Ramallah. we can try, but the world actually will not let us. But the most peaceful and without shooting one single bullet to prevent it is to increase the Jewish presence in Judea and Samaria until the point that everybody in the world will understand that this project has no chance anymore. Last issue is the security. It's a big issue, even though we didn't come to Judea and Samaria because of security. We simply returned back home. But we have a very important byproduct called security, which worth some words. First of all, proportions. Here is the Muslim Middle East from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian. And here we have one little spot which is non-Muslim, and its name is written in the sea because there is not enough space. If you remember, a year ago, Donald Trump said that Israel is like a pen on his desk, and his desk is bigger than this. Here is the pen. Israel looks like pen also. And now let's go to the surface. This is the center, Tel Aviv area. This is Ben Gurion Airport. This is the green line, which in Google Earth it's red. Here is Beduel. The picture before was taken here, and you will see more picture from here. And now let's put on this area, on this map, in the same proportion, a place like Paris. What we see, it's the size of a city, not a country. London, the same. 1/4 of New York, Manhattan, its length is like Israel width until 67, and not in the narrowest point. And if we remember the original area of the League of Nations that Israel and Jordan together were given to the Jewish people, what they had in mind to give something reasonable. They didn't know that 4 months later only a quarter will be left, and this quarter will be divided up to the size of a city. And another aspect, if you cut the land and look for the south to the north, here's the Mediterranean, coastal plain, Judea and Samaria, and Jordan Valley. This mountain ridge is not symmetric. The Jordan Valley is the Syrian-African rift, and the rift is a big crack in the surface, and these slopes are very, very steep, and very few ways crossing it here. And not only steep, it's longer, because here the minimum is the sea level, 0. Here the average is minus 300. So we have a natural wall, very steep. This is the life insurance of Israel, because from the Jordan River up to Afghanistan, it's an area which contains 500 million Muslims. And if one day they decide to stop slaughtering each other and come for us, this is our life insurance. They will not cross this. And the other option that they will be sitting here, and we are here, so this is the end. And this is a quote of American admiral from the Reagan administration. He said that the eastern slopes are one of the best tank barriers in the world, and the western moderate slopes are a dream platform to invade the coastal plain. Now, we gave Gaza in 2005, and the result, we got very nice colored map of the home front command. Each bar here is another seconds to run to the shelter, because what has developed in Gaza. Let's make the map more colorful, give Judea and Samaria, and we'll turn Tel Aviv to Sderot, to the other border. That's the meaning of Palestinian state. Another aspect, in case of Palestinian state here, this is the end of Jordan, because Jordan today is a very unstable state. 80% are local Sunni Arabs defined as Palestinians, 20% Bedouins, controlled by a family originally from Saudi Arabia. It's artificial state, and they are leaning on Israel. Israel gives intelligence and support. Israel has interest to have Jordan because it's a buffer zone on our longest border. But if here, instead of stability, they will have the opposite, Palestinian state, because the Palestinian ideology says both, like the League of Nations map, but for them. So that's the end of Jordan. And if Jordan falls, you in Europe already know where the refugees are going to flow. Isn't it? Okay, some pictures. This is Tel Aviv from Pduel, the same community. This is again, and all the area. And here we have El Al plane on the runway in Ben Gurion. I took it from Pduel. And here are the distances. 11 kilometers to big city Petah Tikva, 20 to the center of Tel Aviv, 13 to Ben Gurion airport. If you made the comparisons with Gaza, it's really frightening. And until 1967, Israel was actually a narrow strip here, controlled from above by Jordan, Judea and Samaria. And when Hussein, king of Jordan, went near Nablus and looked over the coastal plain, he could see ships in the sea. He could see the main power plant of Israel in Hadera. He could see Netanya, which is this city, and Haifa out of this map, this is the university, and Tel Aviv, which is closer. In 1967, Hussein, king of Jordan, joined Syria and Egypt, although he had good silent relationships with Israel. Why did he join? Because Israel was considered as dead. Nobody gave us a little chance to survive this monster who gathered around us. And he could not afford not taking his part after the war. And the main thing is connection to the sea. So he joined the war. Bad move, because he lost Judea and Samaria. 6 years later, Yom Kippur War, 1973. And now he didn't join. After this war, the Arab realized that we were in a critical condition and blamed him. Why didn't you join? We could have won if you have opened another front. He said, sorry guys, Jordan had no strategic depth. What did he mean? If until 1967 he was sitting above Israel and control everything, and if this is his capital, Amman, now we are sitting in Samaria and looking over his capital with these twin buildings. So until 1967, his hand on our throat. Since 1967, it's the opposite. In such a situation, you don't take chances. Here's more distances. This is Nazareth, 17 kilometers from Samaria. Ramat David Air Base, 12, Afula, big city, 8, Hadera, 12. Here in Judea, 2 air bases, 25 kilometers, and 14 kilometers to a place which, according to the international media, this is the nuclear missiles base of Israel, 14 kilometers from the 1967 border. And in the south, it's very critical also, 12 kilometers to Beersheba and Arad, and the F-35 located 16 kilometers from Judea, and the pilot school of the IDF, 26, and this is Ofakim, 24. Ofakim was the most distant point that the terrorists arrived from Gaza, from the other side, on October 7. And what's the distance to Gaza? 23 kilometers, almost the same. This is near Jerusalem, called Beit Jalla. Jerusalem is low, and all the mountains around it higher. And this is the highest. This was Jordan. It was the artillery base of the Jordanian army, which shelled Jerusalem during the war. And here is the distance. And today there is Jewish community on this former base. The remains of this base are still in this community. And if you look at the center of Jerusalem, here is everything. Let's get closer. Prime Minister office, Bank of Israel, and the parliament from the place which shelled it during the war. This building was built in 1966, and it was built with these windows closed. It was opened only after the war. Here we come to October 7, but before it, This guy, maybe some of you still remember, Abba Evan. He was the foreign minister of Israel, very known at his time in the 60s and the 70s. He was the most leftist in the Labour Party, and he was asked in 1969 by Spiegel newspaper if we are going to return to 67 border. Here is his answer. We have said that the map will no longer look like it did in June 4. For us, it's a matter of security and principles. The June map equivalent to danger and insecurity for us. I'm not exaggerating to say that for us it contains something of the memory of Auschwitz. This sentence that he said gave the 67 borders the name Auschwitz borders. He continued, when we speculate on what would have awaited us under the circumstances of June 67 if we had been defeated, we are filling with shudders. He passed away in 2003. 20 years later, we returned to Auschwitz borders in the south. We were defeated only for 8 hours. It was quite enough. And the shudders which he imagined, we saw in our own eyes. And talking about Auschwitz, I don't know any more Auschwitz picture like this terrible picture. This is Shiri Bibas. She and her children were kidnapped and murdered. And this is Gaza, and this is the most distant point that the terrorists arrived that day, Ofakim, 23 kilometers. Okay, let's return for a minute to Gaza before the disengagement, before Israel went out. We can see here Jewish communities. The government who decided to build it was Golda Meir, Labour Party. It was in 1971. Why did they decide about it? Because there were 2 years of terror which erupted in Gaza. It went out of control. The government appointed Ariel Sharon as a commander of this area, and they knew he is the guy to take care of it, and he took care of it, and he ended it. But the government, the leftist government, said if such a terror wave can be happened, we don't have a choice. We must have civil communities here. They looked at civil communities as a security asset and not a burden. And the same Sharon planned this plan. It's called 5 fingers plan, 5 points, 5 corridors, which gave us presence all over the area. This is number 1, some communities here along the border from inside, and isolating Gaza from this area of Israel. Number 2, it's called Netzarim corridor. It was built there because there is the surface, there is a spring there, a wadi, and it's a good area to separate between the Gaza and the cities around and the center part of the Gaza Strip. Number 3 is the Kisufim corridor, Kfar Darom here, and Gush Katif. Gush is a block, and a block of a lot of communities. The northern part make a presence between the center and the south. Number 4 is here, preventing weapons to come from Egypt, from the sea, and the presence here between 2 big cities, Khan Yunis and Rafah. Number 5, the original one, was in Sinai. It's called Yamit area. And after Sinai was given and these communities were uprooted and rooted, the replacement was the border. It's called, in the Army's maps, Philadelphia Road. In such a situation, there is no October 7, because our presence here preventing flow of endless weapons like it did. The Arabs cannot build an army, they cannot practice, they cannot build rocket system, huge one like they did. They cannot build such a monstrous tunnel system. And we can have a very important thing, intelligence. So the withdrawal from Gaza opened the way to such an event like October 7 to happen. And if we compare it to Judea and Samaria, this is the most critical point in Israel. This is Tel Aviv here. This is the green line, the 67 border. And this is Highway 6, the main Israeli highway, north-south. If we go here in the center, north, we have here Israeli Arab town. Here is another one. Here is beyond the 67 border, Qalqilia with 50,000 residents. Qalqilia distant from the sea 14 kilometers. Compare it to the 23 the terrorists arrived in Gaza. Here another two, Tira, Kalansoa. Here is another one, Taibe, and there's another one, Tulkarem, 90,000. This road is an enclave. It's surrounded by Arabs. So why on October 7 everything here was quiet? Here is the difference. We have Jewish presence here. Here are 4 communities disconnecting this Arab town to the rest of Samaria. The same Sharon located 2 communities, Tzufim, Alfei Menashe, behind Qalqilia, because it's downhill, it's not only behind, it's above. And another 2 inside the 67 border. Here another one, here another one. This gave us presence, but these small communities, they are not doing the job of fighting terror, but their presence dictates the army to be there, to protect them, and if they need to protect them, they must catch the terrorists in their beds in ambush. They cannot only stand on the fence, because we know today how it ends. So that's what the Labour Party of the 70s meant when they considered Jewish communities, civilian, as a security asset. Okay, here is the whole story. We don't have enough time. Let's see overlook on the civilian system in Judea and Samaria. Doesn't matter the names, it's in Hebrew, but it doesn't matter. We can see 2 big holes. One is here, one is here. This is Judea desert, not so populated, so it's not a security problem. Another problem, they are smuggling, the main smuggling of everything, the Arabs between the Negev here and Judea and Samaria. Big problem, but not terror attacks. But the big problem is here. This is the center of the terror in Israel. Northern Samaria. This is Jenin, Tulkarem, Shechem, Nablus. In the first place, we didn't manage to build enough communities, and Sharon, as a prime minister, uprooted 4 communities from this area. No civilians, the terror thrives. And it's became a big problem. Here we have the opposite example, because we saw that there were no communities, the terror came, but here we have the opposite. This is Homesh. Homesh is one of the communities who were uprooted during the disengagement, together with Gaza. There were 4 like this who were uprooted here. Homesh, after a very long campaign of a group called Homesh First in Israel, I was a member in this, we managed to return Homesh. after a big public campaign. And 3 years ago, almost 4, Hamas returned, the civilians returned, the army returned, and the security returned. And we proved that this black hole of the terrorism can be smaller after returning the communities. Today, this government decided in the last year to return the other communities who were uprooted. So the army must prepare the area. So in order to create a security situation that these people who are returning will not be slaughtered, they must crash the terror. So already before they came, the army now is crashing the terror. They enter to the refugee camps, which are the terror centers. They destroyed part of them. They opened big ways instead of these small roads there. And look at the miracle. All the terror in Israel start to be relaxed because this was the center of the terror. So already the effect of the future new communities already decreasing the terror. This is near Tulkarem here. We can see the wall. This is a very important interchange touching this city. And this is from above. These are the distances to the big cities. Here is the most critical point, the city of Galkilia. This is Highway 6. Herzliya, if you're familiar with the names, this is all the center of Israel. And the width is 14 kilometers, 9 miles. This is how it looks from above. And here are the distances. Everything is very, very close. If you compare to Gaza and to October 7, as he said, we are filling with shadows. Okay, so after saying the negative things, here is the positive. This is the Bible land. A lot of, 90% of the Bible took place in Judea and Samaria, so that's what, this is the real asset we have here. Now if you have questions.